Jagger.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I note that the members opposite have so much to say about this important topic that, in fact, two of their speakers have finished with a full minute left in their time. It's obviously something they feel passionate about, that they have a lot of material ready to go. But, of course, it is an important topic. And I do understand it's been a difficult 2 months for those opposite. Lots of life changes, lots of transitions. But for them to come in here and suggest our government doesn't have a plan represents the kind of collective amnesia around their wasted decade in office. A decade with no plan for wages growth, no plan to tackle the climate crisis, invest in renewables and bring down power prices, no plan to support women back to work and invest in cheaper childcare, no real plan to support small business, despite the incredibly challenging circumstances they've faced for the past 2 years. Simply heckling from the sidelines, kind of what like they did for 10 years, seems to be what they're doing from opposition. Well, our government has no intention of wasting our time in office. We do have a plan, and we acknowledge that the circumstances we find ourselves in are challenging. We do know that inflation is high, and that is hitting Australian households. That is absolutely the case. And I, like every member in this place, talks to people in my electorate who is feeling that effect. We know that rate rises hurt ordinary Australians struggling to pay their mortgages. And we also know that the causes of inflation at the moment are primarily global. We have inherited a situation from the previous government of 9 years of mess and $1 trillion of debt, and nothing to show for it. Shame. And as so many on this side have said, 9 years of mess can't be cleaned up in 9 weeks. The maths doesn't work. It will take time, and Australians know this. I want to highlight one of the very key areas where this opposition let Australian people down when they were in government, and that was their deliberate design feature of low wages.
Shame.
What is it that means Australians are struggling to pay for things? There's not enough in their pay packets. And what was this government's policy? This previous government's policy? Deliberately low wages. It has a really real effect on Australians' lives and their ability to meet cost of living pressures. It was the previous Prime Minister who said an increase to the minimum wage would be reckless and dangerous. And to be clear, these are the wages of the people who we called heroes during the pandemic, the people such as our cleaners, our aged care workers, our early educators. We know, of course, that these workforces are largely made up of women. These are the people that the previous Prime Minister said it would be reckless and dangerous to give a pay rise to. Well, this government takes a very different approach on wages. We supported an increase to the minimum wage. We've been very clear that we will support an increase for aged care workers, again, some of the lowest paid people in our community, doing some of the most difficult and most important work. Because we get it. We get what people's lives are like. We get where the pressures are. The previous government didn't get it. And of course, it's not just those on minimum wages that the previous government was prepared to leave behind. Pensioners in my electorate haven't forgotten that under the Coalition, around 370,000 pensioners saw a cut to their pension. Pensioner concessions were scrapped. And of course, the previous Prime Minister tried to raise the pension age to 70. A decade of inaction, a decade of cuts. Well, our government will be different. We will make childcare cheaper, helping Australian women to get back to work and to do more work. And again, I note no one on the other side addressed this important issue of women's participation in the workforce and how you best support that. We will get on with dealing with the climate crisis, making sure we have reliable, renewable energy. Again, an area the previous government failed to address for a decade. We will invest in small business. We will make Australian people's lives better.